phone, so if it's moving around, I'm sorry. Um, Today we're going to talk about saying no and saying yes. And we're going back a little bit from when we were talking about being busy. And hi, Jenna, my most faithful member is here. Um, so one big revelation I had today was I was sitting preparing for today, and I was starting to get really stressed out. And I was like, oh boy, now I have another thing in my life that is something that I have to prepare for. And I just stopped myself and had this aha moment that I'm supposed to be doing this for fun and to talk about things and not make it be something else that I'm stressed out about. So this is all just speaking from my heart. And today we're going to talk about saying no. And I think with saying yes, right? When do we say no and when do we say yes? So for me, I was trying to think about why I can't say no. And we talked about it a little bit before. But one of the things I think that I can't say no and I always say yes is I don't want to disappoint people. When somebody asks me to do something, I have this huge desire in my heart to please them. And I'm so much a people pleaser. And I don't know if it's because I'm scared that they're going to not like me or I lose a friend or whatever it is. I just want to make people happy. And so I really struggle with that because I don't think that it's necessarily a healthy thing. I know that I should find my contentment in who I am from myself and from God and not worry about what other people think. And so, oh, thanks, Jen. I like you too. So how do we say no and be okay with it? And I think one of the biggest problems in saying no is that people get so angry. Have you ever had those friends that are like, when you say no, you just might as well have slapped them in the face? And like they take it so personally. So I think there's two sides to this topic. We need to learn how to say no, but we also need to understand that it's okay if somebody tells us no, that we can't get frustrated with that either. So there's a fine line there. And so thinking about ourselves and our schedule, we've talked about not being busy, and I think a lot of it is a mindset to, even if you have a pretty full schedule, that you're enjoying it, that you're not thinking of it as like, oh, now I have this other thing and I'm so busy, but you're thinking of like, oh, how fun, I get to go do this next and I get to go do that next. So changing our vocabulary, but also let's be cautious of what we're saying yes to. So when somebody asks you to do something, our immediate response shouldn't just be yes or no. It should be thoughtful, right? If we already have a pretty full schedule this week, we should be maybe saying, let me think about it, let me look at my schedule, and I'll get back to you. And be very conscious about your schedule. And is this going to be something that's going to add to your life? Are you going to be helping somebody else, or if it's going to become stressful for you? And really analyzing it without a quick decision means that we're going to be making a decision based on knowledge and wisdom instead of making a decision because we're worried about somebody liking us or that it just sounds fun. So when we think about the word yes, we want to make sure that after we say yes, we're not resentful about it and we're not already stressed about this other thing that we have to do. So, hello from Trinidad and Tobago. So I think we need to be slower with our answer when people ask us to do things. Is it something that, yeah, let me think about it. Exactly. And that's an okay answer. And we should be able to take a step back, put wisdom and thought into it. If it's a big thing, say somebody's offering you a job or it's something that's going to be a month-long commitment, are we, for those of you who are praying people, are we praying about it? Are we asking God for guidance and then making a decision? Or are we just so quickly wanting to please people that we say yes and then we resent it? So I think thought is important. I read something today that said, I'm going to mess it up, but I'm going to say it's like wisdom gives us the choices, or wisdom leads to our circumstances of tomorrow. So are we being wise in our decision making and being okay with no? So I was reading today, and one of the things, kind of on the let me think about it answer, is if it's something that's just going to overload our schedule. I also read this and I thought it was good. It said an overwhelmed person is left with a soul that's searching, kind of thing. So an empty soul. So if we're stressed and overwhelmed, our soul is also empty and longing, because we're so overwhelmed that sometimes everything just becomes so too much. It's too much for us. So thinking about the small no, and this is something that I've read and I'm trying to practice, is you don't just have to say no, right? We always joke around. People say to me, okay, Rachel, say no. Let's say no to people. And I told you before, I have a friend that we try to check in with each other and say, have you said no this week? And it's about saying no to things, saying yes to people, and yes to ourselves. So a small no is something where you would really like to do it, but it's something that's going to overwhelm your schedule. And what you can say is, this is just something that I can't do at this time. I really appreciate you asking me. And always say that. I think one of the reasons that I have a hard time with saying no is, say somebody invites me to do something, I'm dead tired, but I don't want them to not invite me next time. And so I get kind of like, oh, I should just do this because it's going to be a good thing, right? But then I'm so overwhelmed by it. So, and mind you, I'm talking about this topic because I have a really hard time saying no. So I'm just coming at you being real about things that I struggle with, in hopes that it can help me, I can help you, we can just help each other through this. So saying a small no is something where you appreciate it. I really appreciate you asking me to do this, or I wish I could help you with this, but right now it's going to overload my schedule. And then you can give them an alternative. But like, say somebody is like, oh, can you come help me with this event on Saturday? And you're like, I really can't. It's going to overload my schedule, but I appreciate you asking me, and maybe I could text some people and invite them. Maybe that's what you can do. So you can give them an alternative to saying yes. So those are just something, it's a small no. It's a thank you for thinking of me, but right now it's just not something extra I can take on. And even if it means that the only alternative that you're doing is going home and reading a book, and that's your me time you need for the next day, that's okay. And we need to know that it's okay to say no. And so saying yes to things. For me, I always want to help people, and I want people to just inspire each other and be there for each other. So a lot of times when I say yes to something that might overwhelm me a little bit, I feel like, oh, Myrna said no once this week. Good job, Myrna. So if it's something that's going to help people, I think we have to maybe stretch ourselves a little bit if it's going to help someone. I like to say yes to people and no to things. So if it's just something that is just going to be a thing in our life and not going to uplift anybody else or ourselves, then maybe we should be saying no to that. Like for me, going to the movies, I would really like to, not really. To me, I don't have one-on-one time with somebody. It's kind of expensive. It's normally not very comfortable. But sometimes I feel guilty even saying no to that. I don't even really like going to the movies. So why are we saying yes? Just little things like that. So our yes needs to be our best yes. If it's a long-term thing, we should be thinking about it. If it's saying yes to helping someone that stretches us a little bit, maybe once a week, that's okay. But if it's something that as soon as you say yes, you're like, oh, I wish I said no, then you need to say no, right? And you need to be okay with that. And the person receiving the no, let's be a little bit more gentler with our anticipation of an answer. Like, I think we if somebody asked me something the other day and said, "Do you want to hear this?" And I said no, and they just said it anyway. And I was like, if you don't want actual answer, then don't ask me, right? If somebody's asking us a question, we should be well anticipated that we can get a yes or a no. We can't just assume that they're going to say yes, right? And then be disappointed with the no. If we're asking somebody a legitimate question, we need to be ready for a yes or a no answer, right? Anybody with me here? So I want to keep this short. Last week was 25 minutes long, and I appreciated Cleon being on, but it just turned out to be a longer thing. So this week, I want you to say no to something and yes to yourself. That's the goal. I want you to think about what you're saying yes to. Does it make you stressed out? Does it overwhelm your schedule? Does it bring you joy? If it doesn't bring you joy, it's okay to say no. However, on the flip side, I have done things that I thought were going to bring me joy, but I did it because it was going to bring joy to somebody else. Because let's be honest, people just want to be around me. No, I'm just kidding. I just bring joy to everything I come to. That's not true. I'm just joking. But I said yes to something that I didn't really want to, but by the end of it, I felt very renewed and rejuvenated, and I did have time to do it, and it blessed somebody else. So that's okay too. Let's just think about it. Let's be okay. I think no is so scary for us because we're afraid people aren't going to like us. We're afraid we're going to upset somebody. We're just scared of rejection in a way too. And no can be scary. But here's another thing, though. I'm not saying like if your wife asks you to do the dishes, you can just say no, Rachel told me to. You know, there's some things in obligation. You can't text your boss tomorrow and be like, you know what, I don't really feel like coming to work. No. You know, there's responsibilities that we have as adults that we just have to face. So you can't just, you know, start saying no to everything because I told you to say no. But those extra things that are in our lives that fill our time, is it taking away from our family? Is it taking away from our me time? Is it inspiring us? Is it making us better? Let's just think about what we're saying yes and no to, and let's be okay with no, with receiving no as well. Hope that helps. Hope that makes sense. I struggle with no. I'm going to be better at it. And here's the biggest thing. If you do say yes, do not complain about saying yes. I am guilty as charged. I will say yes to 1,000 things, and then I will say, ugh, I don't want to do this, or ugh, this is what happened. And if you're going to say yes, say it and fulfill your yes with a joyful, happy heart. It will help you out. Complaining and being negative about things that only brings you down and the people around you. So if you say yes, commit to your yes. Be proud of your yes. Do your yes in 100%. If you say no to take care of yourself, good for you. I applaud you. Yeah, no, Benny, you can't just tell people I told you to say no. You can't. Unless that's your small no, then you can use me. That's fine. Thanks for sticking this out with me. I hope it made you think a little bit about your no's and your yeses. I will report next week on what I said no and yes to. And let's work towards a more full, unabridged life together. Thanks for watching, and again, I have an unabridged page. We can keep the conversation going. I haven't been that great about posting there. I will do better, and I'll see you next week. I don't really know the topic. I love you guys too, and I don't know the topic. Do you have one? I'm hoping this week will inspire me. I'm thinking a little bit about, thank you, Amanda. I'm thinking about talking about perfection. I don't know. If you have something you think I should talk about, let me know. If not, we're going to look for inspiration in the week. So, say no. Get a no friend. Text somebody. Have you said no this week? Take care of yourselves. It's okay to have me time. And I will talk to you next Sunday. Bye.